questions the prosecutor asked the last witness.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
If you would please raise your right hand and take the oath.
Do you swear and affirm the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please be seated.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Special Agent Berni.
Good afternoon.
Can you please state and spell your full name for the court reporter?
Yeah, my name is James, last name Berni, B-E-R-N-I.
Where do you work, sir?
I'm a special agent in the FBI.
How long have you been with them?
Almost 18 years.
What do you do in the FBI?
So I'm currently part of the FBI's CAST team, C-A-S-T.
What does that stand for?
So that stands for Cellular Analysis Survey Team.
And what does the CAST team do?
Yeah, so CAST is a team that was stood up by the FBI in 2009 after the FBI noticed an increased use of cell phone records in criminal trials. So CAST team members like myself specialize in both active and historical cell phone and social media tracking.
Okay. Do you have any education that rendered you able to perform those duties?
I mean, we get training specifically from the FBI, but I do have some relevant training that was prior to the FBI.
Okay. What was that?
So I spent 10 years active duty in the United States Army. The last 6 years, I worked at the National Security Agency, or NSA, where my job was to track Department of Defense high-value targets in Iraq and Afghanistan using their communication devices like cell phones and satellite phones.
Would it be fair to say that that's almost exactly what you're doing now?
Yes, very relevant, correct.
Okay. And for how long were you doing that?
I did that for 6 years in the NSA.
Okay. And when you started with the FBI, what was your role when you first came in?
As a special agent, my job was to investigate criminal offenses. So I worked mostly violent crime cases, gun cases, drugs, kidnappings, those kinds of things.
Okay. At some point, you shifted to the CAST team. Is that right?
I did. So I got certified in 2016, and then it's been my full-time job just looking at cell phone records since 2019.
Boring.
So for the last roughly 6 years, all you do is look at cell phone records?
Every day.
Okay. Can you describe the background of a typical CAST agent?
Yeah, so typical background is an agent or a lead investigator that's worked multiple criminal offenses and have used cell phone records in their cases. So the vast majority of us have been in the Bureau for 6 to 10 years working cases prior to coming and working CAST.
Can you describe the training you received when you became a CAST agent?
Yeah, so we receive about 400 hours of specialized training in everything from radio wave theory, how does a radio wave move through space, to training directly from the cell phone manufacturers. So we get training directly from Apple, Samsung, LG. They come and teach us how do their phones operate. But probably the most relevant training we receive is from the cellular providers, meaning T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, what used to be Sprint when they were around. They would come in and teach us how does their network work. So from the time you hit that green button to place or receive a call, how is that call routed from towers to other parts of their network? How do they keep records on that routing? And then how would we as CAST team members use those records to get an general area of a device when it had activity on the network?
Did that training include an exam?
It does. So we have both a practical hands-on and a written exam in which you have to score 80 or above in both.
And did you receive any additional training or certifications?
So we get recertified every year. So again, I went through my initial training in 2016, but every year we get all the CAST team together And again, we bring in members from various cell phone providers. Well, all the cell phone providers, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, and they teach us the latest and greatest of what's going on within their network. So when is 3G going away? When's 5G voice going to be everywhere? So that way, when we come and testify, like I'm doing today, we have the latest and greatest information directly from the cell phone companies. And again, we do that every year.
Would it be fair to say that for the most part, they're very cooperative?
Extremely, yes.
Okay. And with respect to cellular technology utilized by major cellular providers in the United States, are you familiar with those?
I am. And again, we get that training initially when you go through training, but then every year you get recertified and get information directly from the providers. So yes.
Are you familiar with the record keeping practices used by the different providers?
Yes, that's part of our training as well.
Do they all use the exact same practices, or do they have different ones?
They do not. They all use different methods. Now, their spreadsheets all look different, or some of them are even different formats, not Excel, but they all contain relatively the same information. And that's what allows us to map that information.
Do you provide any training in this area yourself to others?
I do. So I teach what's called a CAST basic course, which is a 2-day introduction course to law enforcement all throughout the United States. I've probably taught that maybe 24 times. I've also taught at our advanced course, and I'm part of our certification cadre where I teach testimony prep. I've also instructed in overseas locations. I handle the Caribbean, which isn't terrible. So I go to the Caribbean and conduct training. I've also conducted training in Mexico and the Ukraine before the war started.
What is historical call detail analysis?
Yeah, so by law, all the cell providers, meaning T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, they have to keep a record of every mobile device on their network. And they do this in what's called call detail records, or CDRs for short. So think of that CDR as like the old school phone bill when we used to get like a paper copy, right? It'd have our number, the other number we talked to, the date and time of the conversation, the other phone number associated with that conversation. But it also includes other information that is relevant and useful to the cellular providers and to law enforcement. And that is the cell phone tower and the sector or side of the tower that's used for every single call, text, or data session on your network. In addition to the CDRs, the phone companies have to keep what's called a tower list. So it is what it sounds like. It's basically a list of every cell phone tower that they have in the United States. So if we're talking about T-Mobile, that list contains every tower location for T-Mobile based on the date that we looked at. And then it breaks down each tower into the sides. So it'll say, hey, tower 1, 2, 3 is located at this specific spot on the earth. Side number 1 points in, at 0 degrees or north. Side number 2, 120 degrees. Side number 3, 240 degrees. So what historical call detail analysis is taking the call detail records when an activity occurred, like a call or a text, putting that together with the tower locations, where are those towers located that were used, and by putting those two things together, we can get a general location of where a device was when it had a call, a text, or a data session on the network.
Okay. Are there more or less towers in different parts of the country?
Yeah, so tower placement is really based upon population. So where more people live and more people work, there's going to be a need for more cell phone towers because more people are using phones. So like downtown Savannah, there's going to be more towers than there would be in rural parts of this county where maybe the population isn't as high. So tower density or tower location is done by the amount of customers they need to service. More customers, more towers.
Who makes that determination?
Yeah, that's the network itself, meaning folks from T-Mobile, Verizon, they look at their network and see, oh, hey, they just built this brand new apartment complex in this certain area. our call volume on this one tower is really high. Let's add another tower or change some things within their network. So the network, T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, are always reviewing what's going on within their network and making changes as necessary.
Do you have tower lists based on timeframes?
Yes. So the cellular providers will send a list of cellular towers during a time period. So whenever they make a change to their network, normally it's every couple months or quarterly sometimes, they'll send a list into NDCAC, which is National Domestic Communications Assistance Center. It's basically the repository of all tower lists. So when AT&T makes a change, they'll send in their new tower list. All of those tower lists are kept all the way back to 2010. So if we need to analyze an incident that occurred, let's say in 2019, we can go to that repository and pull the towers as they were in 2019. So we're not relying on a current tower list of 2025.
And approximately how many times have you performed historical call detail analysis?
Yeah, so again, this has been my full-time job since 2019. So thousands of records. I look at records every single day, sometimes numerous records, and in all kinds of cases.
What types of cases do you use cellular analysis for?
Yeah, so the vast majority are going to be criminal cases because my requests will come in from DA's offices or sheriffs or police departments. But we can also use it anytime you need to locate a device. So about 6 months ago, we had a individual, a teen, who texted his parents, said, "Hey, I got a bunch of pills. I can't take it anymore. I'm going to commit suicide by taking these pills." So they contacted me. We were able to get cell phone records for this individual and basically map out a location of a search area for law enforcement to go and find them. So again, we can use this technique anytime you need to locate a device. So all kinds of cases.
What agencies can request CAS services?
Yeah, we support other federal partners like DEA, ATF, but also any state and local agencies. So any law enforcement agency that needs assistance can request it. And again, we also do some overseas analysis. I handle the Caribbean. I've done work in Mexico, the UK, and the Ukraine before the war.
Have you or CAST generally ever conducted an analysis where the person accused of a crime has been eliminated or cleared as a result of your review?
Yes, it's it's quite often, obviously, I get records from a police department, let's say, and they'll say, "Hey, here's records. Can you review them? Here's our incident location in Atlanta. Our suspect says that he was in Florida at the time of the incident." So I'll review the records and verify either that the device, the cell phone, was in the location of the crime, or help prove an alibi location of them being somewhere else, which happens quite often. And so with that, then those people would eventually be eliminated or cleared as potential suspects.
Is your analysis reviewed by anyone else after you perform it?
It is. So once I make the initial and draft analysis of the case is sent to another CAST certified individual, all the original records. They review my report and the original records to verify that I didn't map a tower in a wrong location or use the wrong tower, those kinds of things. We then review their feedback before we make a final report, which is what will be presented today in trial.
Have you ever testified as an expert in court before?
I have.
How many times approximately?
About 120 different times in 10 different states.
And have you presented the results of your cellular analysis in court before as well?
I have.
What methodology did you use in forming your opinion?
Yeah, so just like we talked about historical call detail analysis, right? Looking at the CDRs, basically the phone bill plus the tower information, putting that together with the tower list, putting those two things together to get a general location of where a device was when it had an activity, a call, text, or data session on the network.
Are your results peer reviewed? I believe that's what you just described. Is that
I
correct?
did. Yes, they are.
Okay. And have you ever been denied expert status in a court of law?
I have not. No.
Have you been qualified as an expert in the field of cellular device location information?
I have.
Approximately how many times? Is that the 120 you were referring
Yeah,
to?
every time I've testified, so approximately 120 times.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would seek to introduce Special Agent Berni as an expert in the field of cellular device location information.
Absolutely no objection.
Absolutely no objection.
You may proceed.
Thank you. In anticipation of your testimony here today, did
Yeah.
you prepare a report concerning your analysis?
I did.
Would it be fair to say that was in the form of a PowerPoint, essentially?
It is.
Okay. Can you tell us what is the technology concerning cell site data? What is it that a cell phone does?
Yeah, so, when a cell phone's on, it's, always scanning the environment, looking for the strongest, clearest, the best signal. So when you're ready to use it for a call, a text, or a data session, the phone knows which tower has the best signal. So the phone chooses the tower with the best signal. Once you complete your activity, be it a call, a text, or a data session, that activity then goes onto the call detail records, that CDR, so the phone bill, basically. And then we can use that information, again, to locate the towers and sectors used and form our opinion of the general location of a device.
Why do the phone companies keep that information?
Yeah, so they keep it to optimize their network. So what we're looking at is billing records. So all of these are billing records, or business records, that are kept by the providers in order to optimize their network. Meaning, they want to know where are calls being placed are. Where are there dropped calls? Do I need to add a cell phone tower because now there's all of a sudden all these customers in a certain area? So they use these CDRs every day to optimize the customer experience.
And does your phone always use the closest tower?
It doesn't necessarily always use it. Again, it's based on a bunch of things that come into play, but it's using the best signal. Now, it uses the closest tower the vast majority of times. Like very minimally does it use a tower that's not the closest, but it can.
Can you tell us what a drive test is?
Yeah, so a drive test is a test, an additional analysis step that we could use in CAST in order to basically determine the actual footprint of a cell phone tower. So we have some equipment that's the same equipment used by the cell phone companies, the same equipment used by T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T to test their network. We put that on a vehicle or a boat or whatever area we're going to test. And then we drive or sail or bike, however we need to, the entire area. And that allows us to determine the actual footprint of the tower. Meaning, if the phone is in a certain location, just like the phone, the drive test gear will tell us which tower and sector is the serving cell, meaning the strongest, clearest signal. And we can make a graphical representation of what the footprint of the tower and sector actually looks like. That'll make more sense when we can look at it.
Okay. And are you able then essentially to confirm the tower information in the records?
Yeah, what we can do with a drive test is really to say at a specific location, the device, the cell phone, would have chose this tower because it's the strongest, clearest signal. And then we can show at what point the phone would have picked another tower and sector based on the location of the device as it is locations with the other towers. Again, this will make more sense when we can actually see it.
Were you asked to look at any data in connection with this case?
Drive test data?
Any data? What data were you asked to look at?
Yeah, so I was asked to look at 3 mobile devices, so cell phones, and then cell phone records from a vehicle or connected car.
Okay. And can you tell us what is a connected car?
Yeah, so in later model cars, starting 2017, 2018 is kind of a good time period. The vehicle manufacturers starting to put in cell phones into cars, right? So it was initially it's sold as, hey, you can make your car into a Wi-Fi hotspot, right? And your kids can play video games in the back when you drive on vacation. Well, what they're really doing, the auto industry is using the cell phone to collect information about the car. Like how many miles does it have? How is it running? Is it performing how it's supposed to? And then it's sending that information through the cell phone network back to Ford, Nissan, Toyota, so that they can send you a coupon for an oil change, or they can see how your car is running so they can make changes to future model cars. So they're collecting information. So a connected car, in theory, is just a vehicle that has a cell phone built into it that communicates via the network.
And in this case, you indicated that you examined one. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And how would, well, let's go back for just a second. You indicated you prepared a report in connection with this.
I did.
Okay. And prior to your testimony here today, did you have an opportunity to see that report?
I did.
And at this time, Your Honor, I'm going to seek to introduce on State's Exhibit 1.101 that report. It's an 18-page slide by Agent Berni in connection with this case. I've shown it to counsel.
Any objection?
No objection, Your
All
Honor.
right, it is admitted.
If we can turn on the monitor, please. Is this your report?
It is.
Just for the record, this is inside of a folder listed as FBI cast on 1.101. And can you tell us which devices that you were referring to that you examined data for?
Yeah, so again, I was asked to analyze 3 different phones. We see those phone numbers listed here. One was a Verizon phone, it's in red. T-Mobile phone, which will be in orange or yellow, and then an AT&T device, which is in blue. And then I also received records for, again, a connected car. So this 2022 Ford Explorer, and there's listed the VIN number for that specific vehicle. But it had a cell phone with a cell phone number and equipment identifier in the vehicle. So I also reviewed records for that.
Now I'm going to go to slide number 2. We've covered.
I apologize. Excuse me, Your Honor. I apologize. Could we get a 5-minute break before we get deep into this slide, Your Honor?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you would step out just for a few minutes, please.
All the way caught up. I didn't have a gap of time to skip us through this little recess. I think you guys are right. I think Courtney in the chat said it first. Maybe the prosecutor's just trying to stretch this witness out till 4 because they don't have witnesses. They're going to end up telling the jury. The jury doesn't know yet, but they're going to let the jury know they get an extra hour tomorrow. They don't need to be there till 10. Also for you guys, we're not going to start at 9 since court won't start. So late start for all of us. I always think it's funny, like we watch the trial and we have the same relief when the judge announces like, oh, we have a day off, or we're going to come in early for arguments. And we're like, oh, we get to see arguments in the morning. We act like we're really there experiencing the trial. Let's see. No, I don't think this is a sidebar. I think this is a comfort break. Heck yeah, Neri. I love games. Totally love games. I've actually been thinking about like taking a capture card. I'm a big fan of playing on like the hardware itself, the consoles. I've played on emulators, but when I'm playing a game that I played growing up, I just like to have the wired system and the controller, like all of it as it was. But I have a capture card and I thought it'd be cool, maybe just for casual streams or maybe just on a different channel to just go back and play old games. I started playing Majora's Mask yesterday, and I'm playing it on a flat screen TV, and it's awful. Like, the quality of it looks awful. I've thought about getting a box TV just so these old polygonal style 3D games can look a little bit more normal, because I think it's the flat screen that's really making it look crazy. But I love gaming. I think games save lives. I think people can learn a lot from games. I also think with games, I think some games are written so well with different characters and kind of like your first experience learning how to deal with conflict. Oh no, Trikisha has meetings all day tomorrow. No, 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 no. That's another tough feeling too. Knowing that something juicy is about to happen in court and not being able to make it. I'm pretty sure the day Young Thug took his plea, there was something that we streamed earlier in the day, and I wasn't feeling good. And I'm like, all right, guys, I'm gonna get off the stream. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't feel well. And then all of a sudden, there's news that somebody's taking a plea. It ends up being Jeffrey Williams. And I remember showing back up on the stream in like a hoodie, all congested up. It's always right when something important's happening. And yeah. Oh yeah, all those old systems. Shout out to GameCube. What a cool system. Like literally a cube. Yeah, what are they gonna do from 10 till 1? Wait, they're not coming back till 1? Did I get that wrong? I only heard the prosecutor ask if they could come in at 10 instead of 9, but I assume that included the jury. Well, we'll see. We'll see what they say at the end of court. In the meantime, I have a surprise for you guys. You want to hear it? Are you ready? This is Nick Starrow's idea. Ready?
And I submit to you, and I'm going to submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, and I submit to you, but I submit to you, that killer was a prosecutor. I submit to you, and I submit, the evidence will show, and I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you, will be the evidence. Tossed. Second tub is recovered. I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you, and I submit to you, you're not going to see anything, but I submit to you, and I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you, you will hear facts. And I submit to you, it's like a Q-tip. I submit to you, the evidence will show, but that's the same day, if you recall, you're going to see his car. I submit to you, drive right past it, and I'm going to submit to you on paper. I submit to you, that's what the evidence will show. I submit to you, you should listen to them very carefully. I submit to you. And I'm going to submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, I submit the evidence is going to show that. I submit to you, you're going to hear, I submit to you, he didn't want to pay that money. He burned the car. I submit to you, that's what the evidence will show. To the ground. And I submit to you, that's what we have. And I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
It was a 41 count of I submit to you from openings. And these were short openings. 41 times. When was this submitted? Oh my goodness. I see that brought factual lie out of the bushes. Oh my goodness. The chat, you guys. And for what it's worth, I mean, I think this prosecutor is confusing. I don't think there's anything sketchy. Like, I don't think there's anything inherently sketchy or mischievous about her presentation. It's just very out of whack and out of order. Amy E just comes in here, doesn't know what she just missed. Good to see you, Amy. Oh man. She oversubmitted. KP thought his phone was glitching. It's gonna become the most annoying outro song for this channel. Oh man. And we haven't had the exhibit numbers have just been numbers, no alphabet, right? They've just been like exhibit 63. We played a compilation of all the I submit to yous from opening statements. Yeah, she said it every sentence. Sure felt like that. Sometimes some of those were grouped that way because it was within one sentence. She said it more than one time. Put a beat behind it. Yeah, that's the thing, right? That outdid Hilton, and Hilton had like 4 hours, right? How long was that? I wonder if I can play Amy, tell Classy tonight at Club Classy. We want to hear the I Submit to You song. We need someone to volunteer to put a beat behind it. Oh, goodness. Oh. Yeah, have you met the submission limit yet? Oh my goodness. What a time. Yeah. How long was Hilton's closing? Betsy says 84 years. Hilton had 3 hours and used 2 hours and 57 minutes. I wish I was exaggerating. I'm glad you counted. Ah, Doug says it's hell to get old. Oh my goodness. The older, the wiser. Love had a few words that killed me. Believe was one of them, but specifically because she would say believe, and she would just like draw out and bring emphasis to that word as if she didn't really want to say the word believe. It's like she thought it was ridiculous. She had to say, we believe the evidence will show, and couldn't just say that the evidence will in fact show. Sorry, I'm like, I feel like I'm bringing back memories. My bad, chat. Oh yeah, vehemently was another one. A prize, sort of, but Atkins annoyed me more with the prize. And I get why they had to say a prize, right? Because that's part of the, can it get around a hearsay exception? Are they trying to keep other members apprised of what was going on in and around the gang? Also, right before we get back, shout out to Tay Biz dropping more gifts. Holy moly. You guys, show some love to Tay Biz in the chat. He's made like 1 million people green today. It's like a green person for every minute of Agent Bernie's testimony so far. That was unnecessary. So big thank you. You guys know I have all the love in the world for Tay Biz. Doesn't need to be gifting like this, but he is, and that's super, super generous. So there we go. Amanda says Tay Biz with the all caps. Big, big love here to Tay Biz.
All right, we can bring the jury in.
No, we're still with Agent Bernie. Wishful thinking. Yeah, at this point in time, that was a Glanville one, but others were using it. And I feel like I say it more now. Yeah, I got tired of hearing co-conspirators. That was another one.
All right, everyone, please be seated. Counsel, you may continue.
Thank you. Agent Bernie, I believe when we left off, you were on slide number 2. Can you tell us what information you provided here in this slide?
Yeah, so this slide just shows how I was involved. So I got asked to review the records and conduct the analysis by the GBI, and given, again, the 3 cellular device records and the car records to analyze. And then it discusses the methodology, again, using the call detail records and the tower list, putting those things together to get a general area of where a device is. And then it just says, the conclusions will be mapped out on the next slides.
Okay. And can you tell us what is a cell tower?
Yeah, so cell
You do
phones
this already?
connect to what we want to do kind of really through two different ways. One, obviously, is we can put our phones in Wi-Fi mode, right, and connect via Wi-Fi. And the second way is through
Right, chat. We did this during YSL. Which is your favorite inconspicuous cell tower? Which is your fave?
cellular network, so through cell phone towers.
Oh, we got to
And the second way is
we got to freeze it because he's not keeping it up there. So we got the monopole tower, the lattice tower. Is that guy wire? Is that what it's called? A guy wire? You got a structural tower, which is just like eating the whole corner of this building. We got the inconspicuous cactus. The flagpole, where the flag is like surprisingly very tiny compared to the pole. The buffalo. The buffalo. Got a little palm tree. This is very Florida. Very Cali. And then we got this like super tall tree that's way taller than any other tree in the area. So Cash Money Cast says the buffalo. My says the cactus. Lots of cactus love here. Lots of cactus love. It does blend in more than the others, kind of. Yeah, what is a cell tower? I don't know why we have that question. A pine tree. The super tall pine tree. The jolly green giant pine tree. Giant Christmas tree. Yeah, I think the cactus is winning, but the buffalo's a very close second, you guys. Thank you for your votes.
through cellular network, so through cell phone towers. What we're going to look at today is the phone's interactions all through this cellular network, which is the vast majority of how cell phones communicate and conduct their business in the United States. So what this is here is on the left-hand side are the most common cell phone towers, that monopole, a tall lattice tower, the guy wire tower, very common in this area because it's a very tall tower that can cover a vast majority of area. And then there's also the structural tower. So basically putting antennas on the sides of buildings or water towers in order to make towers and sectors off of that. Everything on the right-hand side is also a cell phone tower. Now, there's no fake cactuses here in Hinesville, but what that shows is that not all cell phone towers are created equal. Some are really, really tall, like the guy wire tower. Some are small, like this fake cactus in Phoenix, Arizona, that's meant to service just a park where they have concerts and other kinds of things like that. So that's what is shown here.
Now, on the top of this, it refers to cell tower sectors. Can you explain to us what a sector is on a tower?
Yeah, so the vast majority of cell phone towers in the United States are what we call sectorized towers, and most of which, the vast majority, probably about 95% of sectorized towers, are three-sided sectors or towers. So remember when I said the phone company would put a tower in an area to provide coverage in that area? Well, in order to provide more spots for users, they take that one tower and they divide it up into three equal sides or sectors. And that gives more spots for customers to enter the tower, basically, or enter their service. So if a tower covers 360 degrees, a full circle, you divide that by three sides. So 360 divided by 3 makes each side approximately 120 degrees, which is kind of what you see here on the bottom left. You have like the red side, the blue side, and then the green side. Well, we find out or determine how a sector points directly from the tower list. So again, if I'm analyzing, I look at the call detail records, I see Berni's phone used AT&T tower 234. I'll go to the tower list. I look out where is 234 because their tower list is uniquely numbered, meaning no number is used twice. So if we're looking for a specific tower, we can go to the tower list and know exactly where that tower is. It's like a fingerprint on their network. Well, not only does it, again, provide the location of the tower, but it says the azimuth or the orientation of the side or the sector. So if we look at the illustration in the middle, again, we see the tower. That's that triangle white shape in the middle. If we're looking at sector number 1, we go to the tower list. It shows sector number 1 points towards 0 degrees for north. So if we know that sector is 120 degrees, from north, we can go 60 degrees to the left, put our red line, which we see in the illustration, go 60 degrees to the right, put our other red line, and that gives us the approximate left and right boundaries of that sector. And on the right-hand side, kind of the bottom right, you'll see how it will show on the map. Again, you have the red line on the left, red line on the right. Where those two red lines meet, kind of the point of the V, it's hard to see, but there's a green dot. That's the cell phone tower. And we know that in our example, the phone used the north side. Or did I touch something?
No, I did. I was trying to zoom for you. It doesn't.
On the north side, so we know the approximate or the general area of where that device is. One thing to note is you'll see kind of there's some red shading in between the two arms. That just shows you the sides of the V that we're looking at. It doesn't say that's the coverage area of the tower. It's not meant to say that's where the phone is within that small area. It's just saying with these two lines of the V, the side that's connected, that's the side we're looking at.
Now, do phone companies share towers?
Yeah, so a cell phone tower can be put in an area, again, where they want to provide coverage. And a lot of our cell phone towers, the actual location is owned by a third party. So this third party will go and put up a pole and say, who wants to put their antennas or who wants to put sectors on the sides of this tower? Maybe AT&T comes and says, hey, we want the top. We want our antennas there. Then T-Mobile says, hey, next level down, we want to put some antennas too. So a tower can be shared by more than one provider. The pole can be shared. But phones are like children, right? We tell children, don't talk to strangers. Well, that's exactly with a cell phone, right? T-Mobile only talks to T-Mobile. AT&T only talks to AT&T.
Can you tell us what's depicted in slide page 5?
So what this is this is just an example of call out boxes that we'll see. So for every cell phone tower mapped, there's going to be a box that like this. So the box will have information directly from the call detail records. One thing to note is that this is just an example. There's not a 678 area code within our case. This is just an example put up there. But in the top, we see CID. That stands for cell ID. So what that is that's that unique cell phone tower number. 732392 is the tower number. And then the -16 is the side or in the height or tier of that antenna on the pole. Underneath that, you'll see the date. Again, an example, not for our case, but this was an April 2019 example. Underneath that will be the phone number that's mapped. And then the activity time will be to the right of it in local time. So not all cell phone records are kept in local time. In fact, T-Mobile and AT&T, the ones we're going to look at the most, are kept in what's called UTC time, so a different time. So we have to convert that time. But I say that just to say all the times that you'll see in my analysis are in local Eastern time. And then I'll say the type of activity. All of our activity in this case are data sessions, meaning either the cell phone or the vehicle, the cell phone within the vehicle, we're reaching out to the network and exchanging some kind of data on the network. The next number on the right shows, in this example, 122. That's the compass direction of the sector used, meaning if we're looking at sector number 1, in this case, we know the middle of it is 122. That's where the middle of the sector used is. And then if there was a phone call, the other number would be listed on the right. Again, everything we're going to look at is data sessions. And then you'll see at the kind of the top right there of that blue, square or rectangle is a yellow circle with a number 4, and that's just a reference number. So if there's more than one tower shown on my map, there'll be a call out box for tower number 1, a call out box for tower number 2, 3, and 4, so forth and so on.
Does that provide sequencing?
It does.
Okay. And did you in fact analyze some data?
I did.
I'm going to slide number 6 at this point. Can you tell us what's depicted here?
Yeah, so again, these are the cell phones and associated users that I was given for each of the numbers, and then their providers. So, obviously the vehicle, its phone located within the vehicle was using AT&T, as was the blue phone of Mindy, and then had a red phone, which was a Verizon phone, associated with Nicholas Kassotis, and then another phone associated with Nicholas Kassotis was a T-Mobile phone, kind of shown here in yellow or orange.
Were all 4 of those devices mapped?
They were.
Okay. Ultimately, were you asked to map specific dates in conjunction with this case?
Yeah, so I reviewed the records for every one of these. And then I focused my analysis on important dates, times, and locations that I was asked to by the investigators.
And did you have any mappable activity for the Verizon device and the blue device associated with Mindy Kassotis?
I did not. So the device ending in 8328, the red device, and the blue device ending in 0847 had no activity during the times I reviewed. So you won't see any of their analysis because there was no activity to map.
So those 2 phones are not part in any way of this presentation?
That's correct.
Okay. And now I'm going to slide 7. Can you tell us what's depicted here?
So again, depicted here is cell phone towers and locations of interest that I was asked to review. One thing to note is you'll see a lot of blue dots and a lot of green dots on here. The blue dots are AT&T towers, and the green dots are T-Mobile towers. Again, you can kind of see what we talked about in locations where there's more people live and more people work. There's lots of towers together. Look at the downtown Savannah area, right? Towers look like they're right on top of each other. As opposed to you go to more rural parts of this, you'll see that towers get farther apart because there's less people. But on the left-hand side is all the locations that I was asked to review.
Did you also review another location that is referenced with an HD?
I did, Home Depot.
Okay, can you tell us, what do you do when you get an address from a law enforcement agency seeking to map it?
Yeah, so let's say at the top, right, I was given a Bass Pro Shops address and said, hey, can you add this in your analysis? Well, I look up the Bass Pro in the area, make sure that that address is correct, and then that address does exist and where it is approximate to the Bass Pro. So I look at the map, make sure the address puts the marker exactly where Bass Pro is. If I have a place like a residence where, I can't look up, hey, residence for somebody, such and such, and put that up there. I just take that address and I put it in and verify that that is a legitimate address, and then place the marker on the map.
Okay. And with respect to the other locations, meaning the B1 torso recovered, B2 head recovered, all of those below it, what are those numbers underneath that?
Yeah, so those are latitude and longitude spots. So the investigators, when they found such an item, they would mark the location where that item was recovered, the specific location. So it's basically a GPS coordinate of where that object is or was recovered. Like in the pumping station is located at that specific latitude and longitude.
And did those also get dropped onto this map?
They did. And you can kind of see them all kind of bunched together on the bottom kind of portion of the map with underneath the KF there. Since a lot of these locations are in a closer proximity, they kind of all bunched together on this slide.
And why are they all bunched together in this fashion?
Yeah, because I wanted this slide to show all of the locations from, the Home Depot down to the area where the body parts and the pumping station were. I wanted all on one slide. So that made some of the locations kind of overlap since they are closer together.
I'm going to show you now slide number 8. Can you tell us first, what date and time range were you mapping on this slide?
Yeah, can I orient them to how the
Sure.
slide's laid out?
Of course.
Okay, so at the very top, you'll see the date and time period of the slide. So each slide is like a snapshot of time. So this covers obviously November 28th, 2022, between 1:12 p.m. and 1:31 p.m. The next couple slides will be ongoing time periods. So this slide just covers that one time period. At the top left, you'll see the phone number and then again the vehicle that I mapped activity from its call detail records. Underneath that, again, you see green dots, T-Mobile towers, blue dots, AT&T towers. On the far right-hand side, near the top, you see the residents and then the Bass Pro, basically those rectangles. Those are important locations that I was asked to review the phones during this time period as it pertained to those locations of interest.
Can you tell us when the call out boxes, what is relevant in call out box number 1?
Yeah, so again, you see 1 and you see it has the yellow circle with the black number 1, and then you see the towers listed there. And then if you look underneath there, you see the activity. So again, the vehicle had a data session that initiated at 1:12 using that tower and sector you see there. And then there's several data sessions from the 4570 cell phone, one at 1:14, 2 at 1:14, and 2, it looks like at 1:26, I think. Hold on. It's correction, 1:28.
So these are local time, you said, correct?
These are all in local time.
Okay, so that number 1 where we see the sector that you were referring to, they were previously the 2 red lines. They are now, is that black?
One is black for the
Right.
vehicle, and then the other is that yellow or orange for the cell phone.
Okay, and is that call out box that's in the bottom right of that slide, is that depicted somewhere else on the map itself?
It is. It's showing the towers from number 1.
So what is that letter B reference?
The B, as you can see in the top right, is the Bass Pro Shops.
So what conclusions were you able to draw from the call out box number 1 and the tower number 1?
Yeah, that both the vehicle and the cell phone ending in 4570 had data sessions that used towers and sectors that were in close proximity to the Bass Pro Shops between 1:12 and 1:28 p.m.
And were you asked to look at that specific time for a reason?
I was, and you can kind of see the snapshot on the left-hand side. I was told that there was a purchase, and attached is a copy of a receipt. Kind of see on the left-hand side there. And the time listed on the receipt is November 28th, 2022 at 13:23, which is 1:23 Eastern Time.
Okay. PM.
Correct.
And was that consistent with what you found in Tower 1, box call out 1 as well?
It is.
And can you tell us what is in call out box 2?
Yeah, so again, 2 is a different tower and sector, and we see that the vehicle had a data session at 1:31, and that vehicle is now appears to have moved northbound away from the tower it used at 1:12. At 1:31, the vehicle appears to have traveled north from its original location.
Can you tell us, just so we're clear, what exactly is a data session?
Yeah, so a data session is on a device, anything from one of 2 things. It can be user generated, right? We can be on there surfing the internet, streaming audio or video, but it can also be refreshing. So things in the background of your phone refreshing. So if you're like me, in your Internet Explorer, however you get to the internet on your phone, if you open it up, I got like 40 tabs underneath there, right? I don't close things out. I don't know. But some of those things refresh as the phone sits there. So that would be a data session. The phone is interacting with the tower, transmitting data back and forth. So we can see the tower, the sector used during that data session. Well, that's the same with the vehicle, right? Vehicles, some interact and check in with the network more than other vehicles. It's proprietary information. Maybe Nissan's interested in this and Ford's interested in this. So they set their phones to send this information during that time period. Fords historically are very chatty on the network, meaning they love to transmit information, which we'll see.
So nobody told Ford not to talk to strangers?
Here in the next couple of slides.
So again, just to make sure, the orange coloring is the phone device for the phone ending in 4570. Is that right?
That's correct.
And then the black numbers in those call out boxes would be the Ford vehicle.
That's correct.
Okay. So I'm now turning to slide number 9. Can you tell us what you placed on this slide?
Yeah, so again, this is same kind of layout. On November 29th here of 2022, we're looking at between 8:33 a.m. and 9 a.m. Same phone ending in 4570, the orange or yellow, and then the black is the vehicle. And then on the right-hand side, we have the residence again, but now we also added the location of a Home Depot on East Victory Drive, which is the yellow box with the letters HD in it.
And what did you find about tower location 1 by the residents?
Yeah, so there's vehicle data sessions that are initiated at 8:33 and 8:42, which would be consistent with the vehicle being at or in the vicinity.
I think it's comical. If you guys aren't looking at the screen, they got this little image of the purchase receipt, the Home Depot receipt from the 29th for the Milwaukee insulation knife, the one that we heard from the toolmark expert today. Couldn't have cut through bone, even though that's the thing that they find 650 feet away from the body parts. But they have the slogan. They have the slogan sitting here during a dismemberment trial. How doers get more done. It's kind of messed up.
Would be consistent with the vehicle being at or in the vicinity of the residence. And then we see that device have its next data session at 8:58, which is tower number 3, the black device. Again, now that's over near the Home Depot. And then in between those at 8:54 and 9 o'clock, we have data sessions for the phone. Again, the orange phone. Again, in the vicinity of the Home Depot.
Can you explain why number 2 and number 3 are facing each other?
Yeah, so again, these are 2 different networks. So one is AT&T, the vehicle, and one is T-Mobile, that's the phone. So they may share the same tower, but they don't necessarily do that all the time. In fact, most of the time they don't. So what we might see is, T-Mobile has its antenna for an area over on this side, on the right-hand side, but to cover the same area, AT&T might put its tower on the left-hand side. Again, it's just how the phone companies decide to put their towers. But one significant factor, obviously, is there's 3 activities, 2 from the phone and 1 from the car, 8:54 from the vehicle, from the phone, 8:58 from the car, and then 9 o'clock from the phone. Again, both of those are kind of pointing in the same general area. One's opening to the right and one is opening to the left with the Home Depot in the middle.
And were you asked specifically to look at that time frame for a particular reason?
I was, and you'll see on the right-hand side again is a snippet of a receipt on November 29th of 2022 at 8:56 a.m., a purchase of something. I don't know.
Okay. And that purchase and that date and time was what caused you to look for the activity of the data sessions. God bless you.
Bless you.
For that date and time?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay. And that activity put that vehicle and the device in the vicinity of what?
Of the Home Depot, starting at 8:54 and ending at around 9 o'clock. Those last two interactions.
Now, with respect to call out box 1, can you tell us that CID that's in the top, what is that?
So the CID, so again, that's 740384. That's that unique tower number.
And is that tower number in the vicinity of what?
That tower is in the vicinity of the residence.
And the residence being, would that be the address that you have on the top right corner?
It is 311 East 65th Street in Savannah.
And I'm now going to show you slide number 10. What is depicted here?
So again, still on the 29th, between 9:09 and 9:42. Same one vehicle, and same locations of interest, the Home Depot and the residence shown here. And then obviously you have all the dots from the blue cell phone towers and the green towers. But what this shows is basically movement of both the device and the vehicle. Starting at the first activity at 9:09, you can see tower number 1 has activity of both the vehicle and the car. And then we see interactions from both the vehicle and the car as the devices move westbound, most likely on 16, and then southbound on most likely 95, with this slide ending on tower number 5 at 9:42 a.m. The vehicle and phone appear to be headed south on 95.
And so would it be fair to say that you're able to track essentially movement?
Absolutely.
And how do you do that specifically?
Yeah, I mean, if you know a phone used a tower in a sector at a specific time periods, you can see, hey, if it used this one, 10 minutes later, it used one to the right, further to the right, another 10 minutes later. We know that the device traveled in that direction in order to use those towers at specific time periods.
Would that be even more prevalent, for example, if the device is a car? And I say device, in this case, I mean the cellular card is associated with a car?
Correct.
Okay. I'm now moving to slide number 11. Can you tell us what's depicted at slide number 11?
Yeah, so here, again, 9 at the top, 9:59 to 12:03 p.m., still on the 29th. Still the same phone and same vehicle, orange for the phone, black for the vehicle. Now we have a lot of locations of interest listed on the right-hand side. You see in red is basically the various body parts and where the knife was found. And then there's also a purple or pink square representing a pumping station there. And then if you look at the activity of the device, I'm going to look at my slides because that yellow's hard to see. So if you look at the time periods, you'll see the device uses tower number 1, which again is off 95 there. At 9:59, it uses the northeast side, so kind of the right-hand side. And then at 10:04 and 10:05, now it's using the left-hand side. And we can tell that because in that box, it may be hard to see, but the last two numbers, one says 86 for the 9:59 activity. Well, an azimuth of 86 is basically east, because 90 degrees would be due east. And then the 240 is going to be basically south and west. So we can tell which of these sides the phone used at specific times based off of the azimuths there. And then we also, in that same general area at 10:02 have activity on tower number 2 for the vehicle. And we see, again, that all located in the same area there.
Would it be fair to say then that because there's data sessions for the vehicle and data session for that wireless number, that both of those are interacting with the tower at the same times that are listed in those call out boxes?
Oh, they're definitely interacting with the towers at these specific times.
Would the phone itself and the car then have to be in the vicinity of that tower for that to occur?
That's correct. Yeah, in the footprint of it.
Okay. And with respect to these dates and times, that very last number that is the degrees that it's facing, is that correct?
The degrees, the azimuth of the sector is facing, correct?
Okay. And so would it be fair to say that that's able to tell you the movement direction of the vehicle and the device?
Objection leading.
It is. But it doesn't suggest an answer. Just try to avoid that, counsel.
Will do.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, normally if you see a change in azimuth, it either means one of two things. So there's overlap between towers and overlap between sides, meaning these are mobile devices, right? They're meant to be moved everywhere. So the way they make a network is the cell phone tower on the right, and you got a cell phone tower on the left. Well, what they don't want is those coverage areas to stop and not touch each other, right? Because then when we drive from the right to the left, we lose coverage, we get our call hang up before we enter the next sector. We get pretty mad about that as customers. Well, what they want to do is overlap the towers a little bit. So that way, when you're traveling from the right to the left, you're in what sector number 1, you're in the overlap, handing over to sector or tower number 2, and then in tower number 2. So when we see different azimuths on one tower, it's one of two things. It's either the phone sits in the overlap of the sides or sectors, or the device is moved from one side of the tower to the other.
Does box number 3 assist in making that determination?
Very much so.
Explain how.
Yeah, because in box number 1, right, we see at 9:59, it used the right-hand side of tower number 1. And then at 10:04 and 10:05, we see the phone use the left-hand side of tower number 1. Well, if you look at tower number 3 at 10:15, the phone used tower number 3, which is farther to the left. So we can then deduce that the phone started at the right and moved to the left.
And are there times for those data sessions in call out box 3?
There are.
And what were those?
So there's 10:15, 2 of them, 10:15:50, 10:15:51. And then the next ones are 12:03:57 and 12:03:58.
Can you explain to the jury why there's such a large gap in that time?
Yeah, so as we've kind of seen through the analysis, data sessions check in at various times and dates. But if you look through the course of the records, which I did, it's normally checking in every, sometimes a lot, but the vast majority at least once an hour. Well, what we see here is you have a gap of about 2 hours, which could be indicative of a couple things. One is the device could have been turned off. Therefore, there's no check-ins between the device and the network because the device is powered off. The device could have been put in Wi-Fi mode, so only only Wi-Fi mode, taking it off the cellular network. Or number 3, it could have been in a spot where there's no cell phone coverage at all.
If there were no cell phone coverage, would you have seen those data sessions that are depicted therein? That box?
No, there's definitely network or coverage areas at 10:15 and 12:03, and we're going to see some drive test data. We drove all the areas basically in the middle of the map here, and you'll see there's coverage areas all throughout there. Maybe not the best, but there are coverage areas all through there.
And you did drive testing, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that mean you were physically on the ground in this area?
That's correct.
Was this rural or urban?
It is very rural.
Okay.
In fact, we had to get keys to get some gates open because there were locked gates and, just vast majority of land. In fact, there's an impact area out there too.
Okay. And can you tell us what is depicted in number 4?
Number 4 is the next time after. So if we're looking at the vehicle at 10:02, you see it used tower number 2. So right where 95 is down there. And the next activity on the vehicle is at 10:21. And then we see it use tower number 4 between 10:21 and 11:54. During that time period, it also uses tower number 2 twice, once at 10:33 and once at 10:34.
So all of those data sessions that are listed in box 4, do they tell you anything as to the vicinity of the vehicle at the times listed there?
Yeah, we know that it's in the general area that would be provided by tower number 3. So again, I can't draw in here, but it's basically an area, reaching out from tower number 4 to an area of overlap of its next towers. And we see kind of the next AT&T tower, if we're looking down from 4, the next tower is number 2. But if you look left of tower number 2, all the way to the blue dot to the left of number 3. So again, in between number 4 and the blue dot on the left of number 3, somewhere in there is going to be the handover between those 2 towers.
Okay. And so what does that mean with respect to the vehicle sessions in respect to the waypoints you listed for B1, 2, 3, 4, and where the knife was found?
Yeah, so all of those locations, the closest AT&T tower and sector to it are tower number 4 and the sector shown.
And was that vehicle in the vicinity of Tower 4 at the time period between between 10:21 a.m. and 11:54 a.m.?
Correct, it was.
Now, tell us what is in box 5.
So again, the vehicle uses box 5, checks in a data session, 2 of them, at 10:33 and 10:34.
Would that also demonstrate any overlap?
Yeah, there's going to be overlap between tower 4 and tower 5. Maybe a little bit more than halfway, right? There's going to be some overlap between the 2 of those. And this will, again, the footprint will make more sense when we see the drive test data in a minute.
Now, were you able to determine what happened after 12:03 p.m.?
Oh, there was more on that slide. I wasn't sure.
My apologies. I'll go back. Please
The
tell us
witness
what did I
leading the
fail
prosecutor
to
again.
inquire? Oh, the top left side of the map. Can you tell us what the video at the pump station referenced?
Yeah, so I put a yellow square up there on the left-hand side, and it just says that I was notified that there was.
Objection to hearsay.
What's the state's response?
I can rephrase it.
Okay.
Is there a reason that you mapped a particular area between 11:16 a.m. and 12 p.m.?
Yes.
Why did you map that area without telling us what was said?
Yeah, I'm at that area because there was video of a Ford Explorer collected near that pumping station, which is the pink box with the letters PS.
And where is that PS in relation to Tower 4?
You see it in the middle of the map. Again, Tower 4 and the sector used is the closest tower and sector, AT&T wise, to the pumping station.
And with that vehicle identification number for that 2022 Ford Explorer data, put that where in relationship to the pumping station?
Yeah, so again, it used the data on tower number 4 between 10:21 and 11:54.
Thank you. I'm now going to slide 12. Can you tell us what this depicts?
Yeah, so this is between 12:07 and 3:03 p.m. And it basically shows the first interaction is at 12:07 from the orange, basically the cell phone, at tower number 1. And then you can see interactions between the phone and the car and various towers as the device and vehicle move northbound, most likely on I-95. And then eventually there's a vehicle data session at 2:03 in the vicinity of the residence.
Now, just to be clear, this box, the call out box number 1, that reflected what time?
12:07 p.m.
Is that the cellular device itself, the phone, or is that the car?
That is the cellular device.
And I'm going back one moment to slide 11. When was the last time the phone was captured in the vicinity, time-wise, of this area?
12:03 p.m.
And so that gap of time that you were referring to, when did that attribute to? What time?
Between 10:15 a.m. and 12:03 p.m. on the 29th.
So that's when there were no data sessions
Correct.
on the phone, to be specific.
Correct.
Were there those data sessions we just described on the vehicle, though?
Yes, you see that in most of those we're using tower number 4, the sector shown.
Would that be about in the middle of the screen?
It is, that's correct.
Now, going back to slide 12, can you tell if there's anything relevant about specifically call out box 8 with respect to the vehicle data session?
Yeah, so again, that's a tower and sector in the vicinity of the residence, and the number 7403884, that tower number is the same one we saw on page number 9, kind of zoomed in, the one that was closest to the residence.
And that would be the same tower that was picking up on both of those times?
Same tower, yes.
I think so, Betsy.
I'm now going to talk to you a little bit about the drive testing. You indicated that you did do drive testing,
I did.
okay? And can you tell us where specifically you drove tested?
Yeah, so I specifically wanted to map out 4 different towers to make sure we understood the footprint of those towers on the dates in November of 2022.
Okay, and so tower number, I'm on now slide number 14. What did you display here?
Yeah, so again, at the top, it shows that we drove test an AT&T tower. You see the cell ID, so it's the same 740-350-224. And you'll see on the left-hand side, that's the same call-out box that was shown on the previous slide, page number 11. And it was tower number 5 on that slide. And then on the right-hand side, we still have the locations of interest, all the body parts plus the pumping station. And then I show all the blue dots for AT&T devices. So this kind of amoeba that we're looking at here shows the footprint of the coverage area. So the dark purple in the middle is what we would call a dominant coverage area. So it's the strongest coverage area for that tower and sector. You'll see on the boundaries of the dark purple is light purple. That's that coverage area or the overlap area. Remember how I said there's overlap between towers and sectors. So we see some of that overlap area would be the light pink or purple kind of area listed there. So this goes to show that the coverage area for this tower, represented by the yellow circle number 5, and you'll see the coverage area includes everything underneath it, plus locations around where the body parts were discovered.
Would it be fair then to say whether this does or does not provide coverage from that vehicle to the vicinity where those parts were recovered at those times?
It does.
And
Some of them were in the overlap area, but yes, there's overall coverage to that area from this tower represented by number 5.
And I'm now looking at slide number 15. Can you tell us what's depicted here?
So again, I looked at the AT&T tower 740626-17, and you'll see on the left-hand side, I pulled a call-out box from page number 11, and the tower number kept it the same, tower number 4. And so you'll see the times that that tower is used between 10:21 and 11:54. And then you see the coverage area. So in this case, it's represented by yellow. So the dark yellow, basically the center of the tower and sector, is the dominant coverage area for that tower. And then the lighter yellow would be some of that overlap area.
What is your opinion as to the vicinity of the Ford 2022 Ford with respect to 10:21 a.m. to 11:54 a.m. on November 29th of 2022?
Yeah, during the time periods listed on the left, which were those time periods, you'll see the dominant coverage area, which is the most likely location of this device, i.e. the Ford, during those time periods.
And now there are 2 additional drive test areas in these slides. Is that correct?
There are.
3. Did you test other waypoints?
I did. So I also tested 2 T-Mobile towers for the device. The device ending in 4570, which is the cell phone. So again, you'll see at the top, T-Mobile cell 273477-3. You can see on the bottom right-hand side that it's the same tower number. And you'll see this tower and sector was used at 10:04 and 10:05 p.m. on the 29th.
And those times were with respect to the device itself as opposed to the car?
Correct.
Okay. I'm now going to slide 17. Can you tell us what's depicted there?
Yeah, so again, drive tests for the T-Mobile device, cell phone tower 268339-61. You'll see the call out box on the left-hand side. There's activities at 10:15, 2 of them, and 12:03, 2 of them. And then you can see this is represented in blue. The dark spot is the dominant area, and then the light blue is that overlap area with other towers.
Now, the phone at this point, was that captured during that gap in time?
It was not. So there's no activity on the phone between 10:15 and 12:03 p.m.
Were there any phone calls or text messages at all?
No. So in my review of the call detail records, there's no phone calls or text messages during the time periods I reviewed.
So from the period that is in each of those call out boxes, there are no other phone calls or text messages?
That's correct.
If I can have just one moment.
You gonna pass the witness or switch exhibits? All right, we're getting across. Let's see, guys. Important cross here, I think.
No, I can just tell me what you want to go to.
You didn't look at other devices.
Good afternoon, Agent Berni.
Good afternoon, sir.
It's good to see you again. It's
Good
been
to
a
see
few
you.
months. Can we go to slide 6, please? Okay. Agent Berni, this is slide 6 that you prepared, correct?
It is.
And you say that there is no mappable activity during the analyzed period for the 8828 Verizon number, correct?
Yeah, so listed on the bottom, it does say 8828. That's actually a typo. It's supposed to read 8328.
Oh, I wasn't trying to point out your typo. So the 8328 number has no mappable data.
That's
during
correct.
this period. And the 0847 number also has no mappable data, correct?
That's correct.
And from that information, you can't infer that the phone was turned off necessarily, correct?
No, you can't. So especially on the 8328, on the other one, we could maybe see if there were calls incoming. I don't recall if there were calls incoming that went to voicemail. So it is possible to see if a device is off the network based on the call detail records. I'll be honest, I don't recall.
That's fine. Let me put it another way. Could the phone number 8328 been put into airplane mode, for example?
Yes, it could have.
Could it have been put into what you are calling Wi-Fi mode, for example?
It could have pulled it off the network, yes.
And when you say Wi-Fi mode, what do you mean by that? Would you explain that to the jury?
Yeah, so Wi-Fi mode is basically pulling the cell phone device off the cellular network and using it only for Wi-Fi calling. So you would only have service when you have Wi-Fi, internet through Wi-Fi.
So if the 8328 number is connected to Wi-Fi, if it's in Wi-Fi mode, it could still be having data communications, correct?
That's correct.
It could be surfing the internet, correct?
Absolutely.
It could be sending and receiving messages, not SMS, not phone messages, but it could be sending and receiving messages in other ways, correct?
Correct.
It could be using Signal to send and receive messages, correct?
Signal, correct, and iMessages.
And iMessages. And the same for the 4570 number, correct? If it was in Wi-Fi mode, it could also be engaging in data communications.
That's correct. Any device taken off of the network, as long as you still have internet in Wi-Fi mode, you can use it. I mean, it's basically a computer, right, in the palms of our hand.
Let's go to slide 9, please. Thank you. Can we look at that Home Depot location that you have marked on this slide for a moment? Cell tower CID 740384-8. That's the one with the number 1. That's an AT&T tower, correct?
It is.
And then also cell tower number 3, CID 744408-9. That's also an AT&T tower, correct?
Yes, sir, it is.
And what is that tower directly above the label HD on the map? What kind of tower is that?
That's another AT&T blue dot. So it's another AT&T tower in there.
Okay. And it appears that the blue dot above the HD is closer than the number 3, the cell tower mark 3, correct?
It does. Yep.
Do you know why, when you're sitting here, and I know you don't have all your information, but do you know why the cell phone may have been hitting off of or pinging the tower we'll call the number 3 tower versus the tower above the HD?
Yeah. So again, remember when I started and we showed pictures of towers, not every tower is created equal, right? So some towers are really tall and some could be really short. My guess is the blue dot above HD is meant to service the traffic as it goes through 80 there.
Okay, this expert on the stand is now on cross-examination. The captions got it. You have the expert on the stand when being pressed about AT&T towers and a different tower. My guess, not good words for your expert witness to say. This is the state's witness. My guess.
And then whatever that cross street is there. So it could be a smaller tower. that's meant to cover a smaller area than tower number 3. I don't recall the height of tower number 3 off the top of my head.
But again, as you, I think, testified on your direct, you don't always necessarily hit the closest tower, correct?
Yeah, not always. The vast majority of time we do, but not always.
Can we go to slide 11, please? Thank you. Now, on slide 11, if you look at the box labeled 3, for I guess we'll just call it cell tower 3 at this point, that is the one where the cell phone is pinging off of tower 3, correct? It's connecting to tower 3.
Correct.
And there is that gap between 10:15 and 12:03, correct?
That's correct.
So all you know from it not hitting between 10:15 and 12:03 is that it's not connecting to that tower, correct?
It's not connecting to any tower during 10:15 and 12:03.
Thank you for clarifying that. Not connecting to any tower. Do you know whether the cell phone is on or off by looking at this data?
Not specifically just looking at those two things, no. But again, I was asked to take a look and analyze the records in its entirety. So between 10:15 and 12:03 is a longer period of time than what was normal for the vehicle correction, for the cell phone to check in with data sessions. So I can't specifically say that the device is off. All I can say is that that time period seems much longer than normal for the device.
Okay. Can we please go to slide 14? Let me ask you about the drive tests. It sounds like, but I want to make sure. Are you the one that conducted the drive tests?
I am.
Okay. When did you conduct the drive tests?
An independent.
It was in 2023, end of 2023, I think October of 2023.
Okay, so approximately, we'll say, 10 months after.
Correct. Yeah, it was somewhere just under a year. Correct.
And when you, well, let me ask another question then. The cell towers that you are showing on all of your slides in your presentation, are those the way the towers exist today, back in 2022, in 2023? When are those cell towers in existence?
Yeah, so the towers shown on the maps are all from 2022, November of 2022.
Okay, but the mapping you did was 10 months later, correct?
The drive tests.
Correct. Drive test.
Yes.
But based on your knowledge, training, and experience, you believe that drive test would also be accurate for back in this time frame that you're analyzing in late 2022, correct?
Correct, yeah. And part of the reason I say yes is because I review the tower lists from 2023, November time period, to when I drove test, which again, I believe was November of 2022, when the incident is, to when I drove test in 2023. I reviewed those two tower lists to see if there were any changes in the area in which I'm going to drive test. So if there's been a change and now there's 5 more towers in the middle of that area, then doing a drive test would be no good, right? Because we're going to get the things that are today or the time period in 2023, not back in 2022. So I reviewed those two tower lists to make sure that there wasn't any tower changes in both AT&T and T-Mobile in the area in which I drove test.
Okay. And remaining on slide 14, you have the AT&T, which is, I believe is the vehicle, correct?
It is.
You have the AT&T pinging off the tower 5 at 10:33:59 a.m., correct?
That's correct.
Where within that purple area is the vehicle at 10:33:59 a.m.?
Yeah, I can't say specifically where. All I can say is that it is most likely in the dominant or darker colored coverage area.
So you don't know, looking at this data that you've received from AT&T, that the vehicle was anywhere near where the torso was recovered, for example?
Well, your term anywhere
Well, okay,
near.
let me be more
yeah,
specific.
Yeah.
Can you tell whether it was within a mile of there by looking at this drive map?
I can say that it could have been. I can't say with definity that it was. Because
It could
again,
also-
you can.
I'm sorry, I want to let you.
Yeah, because again, you can see the coverage area. So it's somewhere within the darker shaded, most likely, because the other is some overlap area between those two.
And I don't have a pointer that works on this, but it could also be at the southernmost area of the dominant area that you've highlighted in the darker purple, correct?
It could have been, but I say it's probably not, more so because of the activity around these two. So you got 1033 and 1034. Well, it used tower number 4, again, in this slide, the one near Riceboro, which is kind of on the right-hand side, that's tower number 4 right there. So it uses tower number 4 before 1021 and after at 1041. So I would probably put the device in the northern eastern side of the drive test, if you were to ask me based on my training and experience.
But it could be anywhere within the drive test area.
If you look solely at the drive test results and not the other things together, then yes, it could have been anywhere within it. But you also have to look at the things on the outside.
I understand.
Yeah.
If we could go to slide 15, please. This is the drive test area for cell tower 4, correct?
It is.
And once again, for cell tower 4, that vehicle that has the AT&T, I guess, modem in it, I don't know what to call it, the AT&T cellular transmitter in it, that could be anywhere within the dominant or even not the dominant region of that you've highlighted here, correct?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I would say based on the amount of times and the time periods in between some of those times, it's most likely in the dominant. If it was in the other, we'd probably see it jumping off of other towers if it was in the overlap period, more so. But yes, it could be anywhere within the dominant shaded area.
So cell tower data like this that you're using, it can tell you regions, areas in which the cell tower could be located, correct?
Yeah, that's why with this data, we tend to say general location. I've said it probably 100 times, right? The general location of a device. Because we can't be specific and say it's on this side of the street versus this side of the street with this data we have for this.
But it's not like where I pull out my cell phone and I pull up Google Maps and it shows a point on my cell phone and it says, okay, I am here.
Correct. Yeah, it's not GPS. The phone companies actually don't track your GPS. They don't care where you are with that definitive amount of purpose. Now, an app or Google may, but the phone company is looking at the towers and sectors that you use.
Thank you very much, Special Agent Berni.
Thank you, sir.
No redirect.
All right.
No redirect?
Thank you, Agent.
That's the
You're
end of the day?
excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes.
Much quicker than with the YSL trial.
If I could see counsel briefly at the bench, please.
They're probably going to do some scheduling, and we know that they're going to, sounds like 10 o'clock start tomorrow rather than the 9 Eastern time. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Are we doing enough reasonable doubt on purpose to see how this case goes? Like, making this a little experiment?